Hello, welcome to this very quick update for North America. So let's just see some stuff of severe weather and the tropics that's happening. So first, here in the Gulf, in the Atlantic, we have this area from the National Hurricane Center, a 20% chance of formation in the next 7 days. So some models have been showing this forming near the Gulf, and the icon, for example, has been taking this towards Texas and Louisiana, but it's still a low chance. We are still watching. So a trough of low pressure near the southeast and west coast is expected to move westward across Florida during the next day or so and into the northeastern Gulf by Tuesday. Environmental conditions could support some gradual development of the system during the middle to late part of this week as it moves westward over the northeastern and north central portion of the Gulf. Regardless of development, heavy rainfall, localized flash flooding possible over portions of Florida, north central Gulf Coast through mid to late week. So be careful with the heavy rain in those areas, especially in the southeast, Florida, and into Texas. And we'll still keep watching this. The Pacific still nothing, so it's finally quiet. So before the severe weather, let's see what these models are showing for this system. So the GFS is like shows almost a low pressure in the Gulf. It tries to become something, but really it doesn't really become anything. So this is the latest one of the GFS. The European shows like those storms in Florida, and the disturbance goes into the Gulf. It tries to gain more momentum near Louisiana, but fades away. So the European is not forming it either. The crazy thing that happened today was this one from the icon. It tried to form it off the southeast coast, and then it goes into the Gulf on the 16th. The icon showed it strengthening, and the icon turned this into a hurricane into Louisiana and Texas by the 19th. So it turned this into a Category 2 hurricane into Texas on July 19th. I doubt that this will happen, and the icon's not even that good when it comes to tropical cyclones. But here's the Canadians tries to form the low pressure first off the southeast, and then it crosses Florida with more storms and has a slight chance in the Gulf, but the Canadian doesn't even manage to develop it because of land interaction with Louisiana. So if this remains further south from the coast, it might get a better chance, but if it just goes into land quickly, it'll just be a disturbance. But we'll keep watching. The ensembles of the European model show some members near the Gulf, especially near Louisiana, but like this just like 5 or 6 members. It's very little support. So you have some extra tropical stuff further north and like some 3 lone members in the Atlantic. But we need to watch this area for late July into early August, especially in August. But now in the Gulf, there's little support, but a few models are trying to form it. The tropical storm probabilities from the European, this by the 17th, zero. By the 18th, still nothing. 19th, 20th. So the European doesn't have even a single tropical storm probability in the Gulf for this disturbance. Tropical depressions are at 40% by the 17th. It's a bigger area, 40% on the 18th. This goes, so it does have a decent chance of a tropical depression. Not too decent because that's still like a low chance, but it does have a chance for something to form. So we'll keep watching those areas and be careful. Just stay tuned and be aware if you are like in any part of the Gulf, especially for the heavy rain. So yesterday in Texas there was another moderate risk of excessive rainfall, and today there's yet again another one for July 13th, Sunday, July 13th, and yet again near the Hill County where the floods happened. So I heard that another river there rose very high in a few hours today or yesterday. So this situation is serious. once again, like turn around, don't drown. Please be careful. Stay away if you see flooding. So this is today until 12Z Monday. So please be careful, considering all the floods that already happened, and there's many areas of the ground already saturated. The rivers are already in a high level. So please stay safe. Do what you can to stay away from flooding. And then the slight risk goes all the way to Arkansas, another one in the Midwest, and another slight risk in the Northeast. So be careful in those areas in New Mexico. Day 2 already ramps up in Florida as a slight risk, most of Florida except the far north and the Panhandle. So be careful, some flash flooding there too, and also to the east of the Appalachians, the Mid-Atlantic. A marginal risk in the southwest into the Midwest and the north. A slight risk from Nebraska to Minnesota by Tuesday, day 3, and still in Florida, especially southern Florida. Day 4, marginal in the Gulf and the Midwest and the Southwest, and day 5 in some similar areas. So be careful in those areas. Next 2 days already shows close to 2 inches, some spots close to 3 inches in Florida already, and the Bahamas. Next 3 days, more areas to 3 inches, and by 7 days, they'll show some areas to 4 inches, central to southern Florida. So stay safe across southern Louisiana and Mississippi, where this disturbance will likely head. So, but if it forms like the icon said, it might go further east, further west into Texas. So please be careful, some heavy rain, and also some more rains across Canada, a few storms on the west, and yeah. So be careful. And here, like, there's some discussions for the excessive rainfall. If you are in those areas, I highly suggest you check some of them. But now, for the severe weather, there show this light risk in southern Arizona today, Sunday, and the marginal in the southwest, marginal from Texas to Indiana, not one in Florida, and a fourth marginal from Nebraska to Minnesota, and a fifth marginal from North Carolina to Vermont, and this second slight risk across New York, Pennsylvania. So there's a 2% tornado threat in some spots across Illinois into Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, and spots of Missouri into Arkansas. So be careful in those areas. Stay aware. There's wind in all the areas, 5-15%, and hail just in the southwest parts of the upper Midwest. So, isolated severe thunderstorms are possible today through early tonight in the upper Midwest, Mid-Atlantic, Northeast, in the southwest, and south central Texas to the lower Ohio Valley and Florida. So be careful in those areas. Still a margin on the north and parts of the Appalachians into the Mid-Atlantic for Monday, tomorrow. So less than 2% tornado threat. There's mainly wind and hail, especially hail in the north and wind in both areas. So be aware. Day 3 is this marginal across the plains that might change a little in the next few days because as some models have been showing slightly stronger storms by Tuesday. So be aware from Nebraska to Minnesota, 5% probabilistic, this big area of potential thunderstorms, like just general storms. So isolated strong severe storms possible Tuesday afternoon and evening, parts of the central plains to the upper Midwest. So be careful as well, and especially today with the heavy rain and the slight risks there. So here the herd does show those storms in Texas now, so there's still storms central Texas that they will continue until tonight. So be careful. Shows like in the south, shows across central Texas, stronger storms into Arkansas as well, into Mississippi. It's not Mississippi, especially Arkansas and Missouri. And then if you can see there as well, more heavy rain parts of western Mexico, and then into Arizona and New Mexico, those afternoon storms. So be careful. Monday still shows a few storms, like in Arkansas, a finger or two in eastern Oklahoma, and spots of the south. So be aware. Across Florida, does show some storms this afternoon, central Florida in the evening. So be careful, some heavy rain, a few other scary ones in the southeast. And then Monday, this low pressure spins off the Florida coast, some storms in the Bahamas and spots of central to southern Florida, some stronger lines of storms. So stay safe, more spots by the evening. And also in Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, more storms too. So be careful in Florida Monday. So here shows like the Northeast for those storms today. That shows some stronger ones in New York into Pennsylvania, and those ones in the Midwest there as well, into Illinois, Indiana. So beware more into southern Canada, in Quebec especially, and a storm or two in Ontario. So be aware, some more in the Mid-Atlantic to the Northeast. So here it does show like the whole region shows s- some higher Cape values across the south, but also some decent ones in the northeast into eastern Canada. So some decent Cape as well, and spots of Florida a lot, and like the general south. So be aware. And here the horse shows to like special today's not a very big day, but just to check there's something else part and there's the updraft Halisti does show the full run here until Monday. Some spots of Texas, some stronger ones, southern Illinois, slightly stronger, and even Canada, finger or two in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and that show in Arizona slightly stronger, but this time like there's barely anything here, but there'll be some spots with some stronger ones, so be aware those areas. And by like some zeros in the evening, does show the storm relatively nothing too impressive, but like in Texas, slightly more, but this is very little still, just about 100. But does show slightly more in eastern Canada, some spots. Might be earlier in the afternoon where most storms occur. But today's not nothing that crazy. But just be aware, especially because of the Cape in the northeast and those areas in the south. And here does show like the heat risk still pretty high many areas, especially in the southeast, some major heat risk, more spots in the west, still on like Monday, still in the southeast, Tuesday, in the south, and goes to the northeast on Wednesday, some major heat risk, still by Thursday, Friday, so be careful of this heat. So here, just to see if there's any fire danger. So the does show this isolated dry thunderstorms spotted through in Arizona and some elevated in Washington Oregon for Sunday today. And Monday still some elevated Washington Oregon into Idaho. So be aware as well. And here for this rainfall, just want to check if the HER has something important. So it does show like from now Sunday until like Tuesday, the herd does show a few spots in Florida, to like some 3 to 4 inches, a few isolated spots until Tuesday. So especially central Florida, some 4 inches. So and after that even more. The long range European until like Friday does show some more across Florida and to Louisiana, but doesn't show too much. And better look at those high resolution models. So the GFS is similar thing. The icon is that crazy hurricane, but I don't quite trust that. So be aware and across Alberta, British Columbia, some more storms, and into eastern Canada, some more rain as well. So here it does show for those storms in Canada. Let's see if they have something. So for Sunday in southern Alberta, some damaging winds and hail, possible still. Day two, like, let's see if it works here. Wait. So Monday doesn't show too much, shows like in the southernmost areas and across like in a few spots in Manitoba. So here in Ontario does show this is Sunday, yes. So especially southeastern Ontario, some higher damaging winds and some hail, some heavy rain as well, especially in Quebec today, Sunday in area. Be even a small tornado threat they mention here, and some moderate hail, some damaging winds. So be careful in those areas. and stay safe. Those storms and still shows that heat widespread 100 Fahrenheit across the west, and especially the southwest and the southeast, some 90s, in the northern plains in Montana too. So stay safe during the night. Still hot in many areas across the east, southeast, and the west. So be careful. It grows to like even 113 the southwest, 101 Nevada, Las Vegas 113. So please stay safe in those areas. Not close to 100 in South Dakota, so 98 in Georgia. So very hot times. Be careful. Stay cool. Still like by Tuesdays, some 90s, 100s in the west, all the way to the southeast. During the night, still hot, some 70s, some spots during the night, and some 80s in the southwest during the night. By Wednesday, still some 90s, close to 100 in the northwest, and some 100s the southwest, and more 90s along the south, as far north as Vermont, some 90s on Wednesday. Thursday, still during the night, some 70s and 80s in the south. And thus show Thursday afternoon, some 90s, even close to like Vermont, some 80s in Maine, 90s in the south, and some 100s along the west. So stay safe this heat still, and still by Friday, the 18th, some 90s there in the south, the plains, spots of the west. So stay safe in those areas, stay like hydrated and stay cool. So in Canada, spots in the southern prairies still shows like doesn't show too much because there's this air mass in northern Canada, slightly below average temperatures there because of a trough in northern Quebec, but does show in the southernmost plains slightly hotter, especially southern Ontario into Quebec. This is close to 31 and the northwest there. So Monday, Tuesday, still warmer along the west. And this section of the northeast is still cooler, but still like southernmost British Columbia, southern Ontario and Quebec, and the interior of the west still pretty warm. So be aware, but especially if I were you, I would watch out for these storms more. And there's this low pressure, the rain across northern Quebec, and a few storms with the cold front. But those show storms still choose, it's still Monday across southwestern Canada, especially in Ontario. No, Ontario, that's British Columbia into Alberta and some in Saskatchewan. And by Tuesday, like Monday night, Tuesday shows it heading into the US as well, especially Montana and Minnesota. So be aware, Tuesday afternoon, more across central northern US into southern Canada. Potentially still a few storms isolated later on the west. Thursday into Friday, a few spots. So stay safe in those areas. The tropical Atlantic still quiet, but still some heavy rains locally in some areas, especially in Central America, but nothing extreme. Just in Costa Rica into Panama, close to 90 millimeters next 5 days, and more storms in Mexico, those summer storms. So be aware, like Central Mexico and into Western Mexico as well, as far north as Arizona. It shows across Central, even Southern Mexico, but there's a section slightly drier. So in Cuba, Hispaniolas, some afternoon storms, some showers as well as Jamaica and the Eastern Caribbean, but nothing too extreme. But always be careful with storms, just to be safe. And yeah, but nothing too crazy. Slightly more wind in the southwestern Caribbean as usual. The wave map shows slightly more there. But yeah, nothing too crazy. So stay safe. We'll keep watching.